going on, everybody? Choco here with apparently a stallion. But welcome back to some more Choco's World. And this is actually, I've been doing this intro so many different times. I keep on getting torn in different directions. And I get a little bit like, I'm like, maybe this, maybe that. But don't worry, I have a solid plan. We are for sure doing this intro this time. And we got a pretty interesting episode for you all, and something that might be of use for some of you all that are in the early to mid game of Minecraft and are looking into a villager progression. Maybe what I'm going to introduce to you here will make some sense and help. I will not be covering the villager breeder today, so if you would like to go check that out, you would check that out in the last episode. But for those of you who are interested in the rest of it, feel free to hang out here. We'll be talking about a lot of different villager things and really basic stuff, not like super in-depth stuff, so you don't have to worry, be like, oh my goodness, I don't want to learn about the entire like mechanics of all villagers, because I don't even know the entire mechanics of all villagers. Oh, and before I get too carried away, also I do appreciate all the support you guys are showing for this lovely series. I'm enjoying it personally. I hope that you all are enjoying it as well. It seems like you guys are enjoying it, so I'm very pleased about that. But yeah, let me know how you feel about the jump cuts. I know I asked that like the last 2 times ago and last time I think as well, but I really do want to make sure that everyone's a-okay with this. I know some people are like, oh man, I really wish I could watch like the entirety of all of your videos, but I think in order for us to kind of make sure that everyone has a chance to really be caught up and stay up to date and not dedicate half their day to watching me play Minecraft, which, I mean, let's be serious sometimes. I know some of you are binging, I know! But yeah, we're going to go ahead and keep some form of cutting down. I'm hoping those jump cuts are helpful for you all because it keeps it a little bit, I think, more on topic / more interesting and maybe a little bit more like relevant in terms of everything that's going on is a little bit more focused. So let me know. I'm very curious to know. But anyways, on with the episode. So we got ourselves, of course, our villager breeder. You may notice that there's a lot more villagers and a lot of them are grown up, which is a little concerning. I did have one escapee that might or might not have been taken out by gravel. Weird how that happens. But yeah, a couple of weird things did occur in preparation for this episode. Originally, we had talked about, that was marking a corner of a chunk. And I was like, we're going to build it over here. And this was going to be the villager breeder that was behind it. And I was going to feed into it. And it was going to be great. And I was going to be like, yeah, it's multi-floored and so smart. I am so big brain. But then I thought about it. And I was like, is that big brain though? And I really was like scratching my head. I was like, I don't know if that's necessarily big brain. And the reason for that is that I wasn't super convinced by the idea of like, okay, we've had the depot before, and I'm basically gonna be making depot 2.0, but I don't really have it's not easy for me to make something that looks a little bit nicer. It's also a square, which would kind of be an eyesore in my opinion, because it's just like a random, like, this is a box, hooray. And that would be kind of it. And not only that, but it would be like just a cube tower. And I was just like, press X to doubt if you want to see a giant cube tower here. So instead I was like, okay, fine, maybe I'll just do like a 2-chunk thing. And so I expand this outward and I was like, okay, we're going to give it plenty of space. I'm going to pet it and wash it and take it on walks. And that ended up being kind of like, well, it's still a big box that could potentially look like pretty ugly. I had this idea of like, oh, we're going to use like water elevators and that's going to help it make it look nicer and blah, blah, blah. But I kind of eventually just was like, but I think that's still going to look kind of like an eyesore. Because if we do end up surviving for quite some time, and if I get to the point where like I'm fairly safe and it's pretty unlikely I'm going to die unless I do something really dumb or do it on purpose, chances are we're looking at a situation where I'm going to want to make things look nicer. And so I said, maybe not this either. So what we arrived upon was the conclusion of, hey, let's go ahead and build it underground. But here's the catch. In order for me to build it underground, or not in order for that to happen, but if I was going to build it underground, why not build it underneath the villager breeder? So whenever I need more villagers, so if I'm not happy with a certain villager or whatever, I can quickly move them in, and I don't have to worry about the whole, like, get this villager from point A to point B. I just am going from point A to point A, and we just drop them in, and it's going to be great. So this is what we have so far. And this was just a bunch of clearing. And you might be like, wow, Choco, that seems like kind of short. Remember, we don't have to abide by the rules of having the beds have like a 3-block clearance of height above the bed. I know that was kind of like, if you're wondering what this is about, this was something we found out in H6M, but during H6M, basically what ended up happening was villagers seem to not be able to properly breed if the beds don't have a certain amount of block clearance above them. It's kind of like a weird mechanic thing. But basically, in order the only thing that really matters for is breeding. But we have a villager breeder, so I don't need to worry about that. So we can make this relatively short. Now you might notice it's still a rectangle, but this is, in all honesty, pretty much the best situation for me being able to quickly find whatever I need, accessing it, and just kind of getting all that done. To this end, what this should account for, if I did my math correctly, if I'm remembering the math correctly, because I didn't quite do this just now, but I did it a while ago and I feel pretty confident. But this is 2 chunks. So if you can see here, I'm just going to prove to you all that I did the chunk digging correctly. And this is all stone, by the way. And yes, that was unfortunate because we did run into a bunch of like andesite and granite. But 2 chunks, so this is going to be a total of 32 by 16. And this is going to be 3 high. The other thing here is that because this is rectangular, it's kind of like the depot, but it's going to be nice and condensed. I don't have to worry about like going a bunch of different places, because let's be honest, if I'm here to go do villager trades, I don't want to run around in circles. I don't want to have to do all this stuff. I just want to get my job done and kind of go about my business. Now, the cool thing is, this isn't going to be the only layer. There will eventually be more villager breeder things, and I think I will stack them vertically just for simplicity's sake. So if you're kind of like, okay, so what exactly are you going to do? This is the plan, is that we're going to go ahead and leave a vertical. Okay, I thought something was going on down up there. But because we're making this into like a little 2 by 1 chunk here, I can go ahead and go downwards, and then we're going to always have the ability to, in this particular setup with the 2 chunk wide and 1 chunk long, or I guess 2, whatever you want to put it. But we basically have the ability to house, I think, 14 per side and then 28 per room. I'm not going to handle the like far sides of this, so like the ends, I'm not going to put anything on there. But from here, and for this whole wall and then this whole wall, that should be accounting for a whopping total of 28 villager slots. Now you might be like, okay, so 28 villager slots, whoop-de-doo for you, Choco. What does this mean? Why did you settle on the number 28? The 28 thing was, number one, first and foremost, going to be about, or actually, wait, maybe, hold on. So yeah, but first and foremost, I think it's 14 and then 28. So the first and foremost thing that I was focusing on with this whole shindig was that by doing it this way, it's within 2 chunk space, perfect. And then the other part of this is that we're actually doing it because there are 13 different kinds of trading villagers. Unless I did the math wrong. I'm not including a nitwit because nitwits don't trade, and I'm not going to keep like a nitwit exhibit. Also, nitwits I can't exactly force to appear, and I seem to have a pretty good way, or I have a pretty decent luck, I guess, to not roll nitwits or something like that, but I just don't run into them very often. So we're going to be able to house the entirety of all the or not all the librarians, but all the villagers on one side, I think. In addition to this, that's so like you might be sitting there going like, okay, Choco, what real need do you have for like, I don't know, a fisherman? I don't know, something random like that. And in truth, you're right. I don't really need those things, but I just want to knock out one of every type of villager. And there are something that I'm going to be referring to from here on out probably as critical trades. Critical trades are whenever there is a chance for a villager to roll multiple kinds of trades and you actually care about the outcome. Now, in some cases, it doesn't really matter. It's like, I think the armor at novice level is like, you can roll any of the different iron armors. And I'm like, okay, great for you. But there are a couple of like really important ones. Like, for example, the cleric at expert level will get the choice between, I think it's a scoot, and then the other ones are glass bottle and ender pearl. And obviously, I don't want to trade scoots for emeralds or whatever the case may be, because that's ridiculous and that's way more work than it's worth, because we can get emeralds in a much more simplistic way. But yeah, we basically have to like look for those, but it'll take some time. I'm not going to super stress about this, to be completely honest with you, but something that'll be kind of nice. And on one side of this, so we're going to have all the villagers lined up on one side. We will double down, I think, and this is a very large, I'm not 100% sure on this one, but I think we're going to double down on butchers. This remains to be seen. I may decide to double down on farmers. I'm not quite sure yet. But the other side should be all able to be dedicated for librarians. This should be enough, hopefully, for the bulk of all the different enchantments and stuff that I need. If I do need some odds and ends here and there, then we'll probably have to figure out something else for it. But for right now, my plan is, at least to start us off, this should cover everything that I could possibly want from the mid-game level. End-game, when I'm like fine-tuning and stuff, maybe we'll like want to really optimize. But for right now, this should be perfectly good. So we have in here, and there's 13 different kinds of things. So yep, 13 is good. So In here, we have all the different kinds of work blocks there are for villagers. We're going to have blast furnace for the armorers, a smoker for the butchers, cartography for the cartographers, clerics going to use the brewing stand, farmers composter, fishermen for the barrel, fletchers for fletching table, cauldron is going to be for the leather worker, which I still don't really understand why that is. Lectern is going to be for the librarian, stonecutter for the mason, loom for the shepherd, and this is actually really important, and I will come back to why in a moment. Smithing table for the toolsmith, and weaponsmith is going to be using grindstone. The reason why the loom is actually a fairly important one, and one of the first trades I recommend you doing when you're setting up your villager area in the beginning, is because of the fact that if you get your loom, you're going to hopefully be able to come across some wool trades. And you might be like, okay, so like, what do you care about wool? If you don't have a stable source of sheep to shear, we do have some sheep wandering here and there, but I'm going to probably bank on the use of actually depending upon the villager trades. So it's kind of like independent. If you don't happen to have sheep, this is immensely useful. And to that end, I think I want to go ahead and latch onto this. You have I'm pretty sure you're guaranteed some version of wool. It's possible that you get like shears and something, or maybe like you'll get like brown, and maybe you don't particularly care for brown beds. But in this particular case, it should be that by having a shepherd there, it'll basically guarantee that as long as you have trees, you're going to be able to go ahead and make yourself beds to facilitate all your different pens. Now, you may also be asking yourself, well, why do you want pens? And in truth, you probably don't need them. I'm going to be honest here. I don't really think you need pens. But what we're going to be doing is I'm going to go ahead and put a bed in there, because I have noticed that sometimes they kind of get goofy without the beds. So that's going to be the reason why we're doing it. And we're going to be trying to keep this relatively compact. So if you're trying to do this as well, you're going to be able to follow along and kind of get yourself your first things going. And of course, if you don't want to have all this space, if you want to do like a one chunk thing, like I was saying, the chunks don't really matter. I'm just making them in chunks because I'm trying to be more mindful about that in this particular playthrough. But yeah, anyways, I'm going to go ahead and start setting up this room, and after it's all set up, we'll be back, and I'll be showcasing kind of like, what's going on, and then we get to do the really spooky parts, aka I get to be incredibly nervous the entire time, and we're going to drop these guys, and hopefully they all land in there, and I don't really know how that's going to end up. I'm hoping it'll end up all right, but we're going to try dropping them down, and then hopefully what will happen is they'll migrate to their own beds and workstations and whatever else. We'll have a couple of babies running around, but I think that'll be okay. But anyways, we'll be back as soon as we're ready to rock and roll, and yeah, it should be right after this. Okay, so a little bit of work in and a couple of adjustments actually, and we're just about ready for the big drop. No pun intended, actually all the puns intended, but check it out. We've actually simplified this to only be 13 slots in general. We could fit in more, but I went ahead and summarized it down to 13. It's weird, I thought I'd done the measurement correctly, I guess I didn't, but basically I could have fit in 2 extra ones, and then we would have had like this like really awkward, just like, hey, I'm just 1 block of depth that doesn't really do anything. But I decided, hey, it's all right, we can use this as like storage area, and I can also use this as a potential way for me to move up and down. Oh, actually, no, I know exactly what this is, because originally it was supposed to be the elevators were supposed to be. Okay, never mind, I remember what's going on here. But yeah, so the way that this is going to work is probably going to be that I'm going to have a little bit extra room on both sides. So if I ever need to like store things down here or whatever, potentially even, I don't know if we're going to quite reach this far. If I survive this long, it would be like if we can maybe get some farms to feed into here that we would trade for, so we can get the emeralds a little bit more easily. Potentially something that we could do. But other than that, yeah, it's pretty much just a pretty straightforward thing. We have lecterns all on one side. You're going to notice that there's like this like weird like pit, almost like a grave. Beds will go into there. And what would actually happen is, because if you have a bed here, right, they're not quite a full block up, and then this block would be too tall for them to jump on. And as far as I am aware, they won't attempt to jump onto where the fence gate is, and they won't attempt to jump onto their workstation, even though they very well could, as far as I'm aware. So this should theoretically work without these slabs. I just leave these slabs here because it adds like a certain level of security, because now in this way, like even I can't do anything about this. Like I would have to crouch jump into here, which doesn't make any version of sense. Baby villagers still can. I think the baby villagers will adhere to the same problems that the adults would have without the slabs, but I'm just saying that the slabs will definitely make sure that adults cannot move at all. Now, they're going to have working areas. There are no beds, so we need to get the shepherds in here. So let's go ahead and do the big drop, and cross your fingers and cross your toes because yeah, this is gonna be an interesting moment here. I hope it goes well, but you never know with these kinds of things. So let me go ahead. I'm gonna lock this up with glass right here. And the reason why we're doing glass is because of the fact that I'm crazy. No, the reason why we're doing glass is because I just want to make sure that if we do keep this here, because I have not seen a single. Oh, okay, we got some carrots in here actually, but this doesn't seem to be very productive as a carrot farm. So I'm thinking that we might just leave it to not really worry about carrots. So we might just make it so this is like just a throughput thing, and then I put a piston or whatever here to stop them, or whatever the case may be. But something that potentially in the future. But anyways, so I'm gonna go ahead, and I'm gonna break. Actually, okay, I'm gonna break this first, and I'm gonna make it so this is also sealed. But this one I'm gonna go ahead and do with wood because this will be very much a temporary measure. And the reason why we're covering up even this guy is because I don't want them to like spread out as they fall and they get extra wiggle room and then randomly decide like XD, I'm going to go ahead and run out and or fall and then get smushed on the sides because I'm a villager. Because villagers will do really weird things for no apparent reason. But all right, wish us luck. 3, 2, 1. Okay, that sounded like a good splash, a good solid splash. I like good solid splashes. And it sounds like they're having an absolute whale of a time. Okay, they're also being, like, physicsed out. That's very alarming, but alright, fair enough. Okay, they seem to be extremely excited about having a pool party, which is weird. I'm also not sure why they're physicsing that way. But alright, cool. So we got a couple of villagers who seem kind of interested. Maybe they're finding their callings. I don't know yet. Maybe they're not doing it so well, but let's see. It looks like maybe we have a chance to get a couple of them sorted out. So let me push you in there. Let me push you in there. And then we can sort out their bed situation. But the real one that I need, it looks like we might have gotten, no, wait, yes, we might have gotten a little bit on the lucky side, is we need this guy to, well, we need a villager to get in here and turn into a shepherd boy. Because, of course, when it comes to shepherds, that will help us out a little bit in getting us squared away with the beds. So I'm going to go ahead and shove in villagers as I see them being able to be fit in. And it looks like we might even have a little bit extra by way of villagers, which is kind of strange. I didn't expect that to be a thing, but hey, you never know. So let me go ahead, shove these guys in here. So a couple things while we're doing this, and kind of explain some general villager mechanics. For those of you, number one, for those of you who are a little bit more savvy, but maybe have taken a break from the game for a while, the villagers and villages, the way they flag, are completely different than, like, let's say 1.8. Villagers used to require, like, doors and all sorts of junk in order for them to be like, yes, we are for surezies, doing our thing and blah, blah, blah. So that used to be a big thing, not anymore, really. So if you're kind of like, well, I'm used to that, why is that no longer a thing? That's why. Actually, what I'm going to need to do here is I'm going to probably need to take my bed. I just realized it's kind of too big of a jump for them just to kind of do on their own. So I'm going to go ahead and just... I'm also going to put that down there in case there's more baby villagers made. But yeah, so these guys, all it needs is a bed. And I know this is going to sound ridiculous, but literally their only requirement is a bed and... as it turns out, a bed and a villager, just to be satisfied for that whole thing. So it's kind of weird. It's kind of a goofy thing. But all right, nope. You are not where you need to be, friend. You are not where you need to be. All right, so what I'm trying to learn right here is that I really need to make it so they can't just run up top. So we're just going to seal all of these off as I can, because this was not something, admittedly, I thought about. I should have thought of it too. It's really like, now that I'm thinking, I'm like, oh, it's so obvious. Of course, if given the option, what would a villager do? Do the right thing or do something completely wrong? And obviously they're going to do the wrong thing because they're villagers. All right, so let me go ahead and push that guy a little bit over to the side. He is trading wool, but he's kind of trading like black wool and like gray wool. It's kind of weird because I thought that they were both black wool for a moment and I got really confused. was like, what? He traded me 2 of the same kind? As far as I'm aware, oh, wait, no, sorry. This guy is trading wool for emeralds, and then we can eventually get wool at the apprentice level, I think. Yeah, so we have to get him past novice. So, yeah, we'll get him out of here from this whole thing. But next level up, he'll be able to do it. So let's go ahead. I'm just going to keep on sealing away more villagers into their respective, well, I say into their respective pens, but honestly, who knows whether or not it's their respective pen, to be seen. But we'll let them socialize. We'll let them hang out for a little bit because we still need quite a few beds. If I were to do this in the future, now that I'm thinking about it, I would probably go ahead. Ooh, what happened here? How did you escape, friend? I have some bad news for you. So, I don't know how to tell you this, but your life might have just drastically shortened. Ooh, unless you're clever and slick. But the question is, how slick are you? Apparently not slick enough. I'm just going to walk away. No, nothing happened. Don't worry. Alright, so we're going to get some emeralds, and we're going to go trade. Or actually, I suppose we can't. I suppose I actually... So we need to get emeralds, and then I need him to get the shear trade. Because I can't really get the black... Well, I could, but I don't want to get the black wool necessary to do those trades. So we're going to go bank on shears being the kind of way that we're going to level them up. Because all that requires is emeralds, and honestly, I could actually stockpile a bunch of shears because we could put them in dispensers later on. So maybe it's for the best. I don't really know. We've accrued quite a few emeralds over time, so I don't see why this would be a problem. I also made a lot more stone than I needed. For some reason, I thought we needed like an absolutely immense amount of stone for covering up the walls. So now I also am the proud owner of quite a bit of stone, but not really anything that we need right now. And so, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and head back here with all this, and we're going to go trade for, well, first off, I'm going to need to sleep through the night, so I'm going to sleep through the night, and then I'm going to cycle through the trades until we get shears. I'm going to level them up, and then hopefully you guys will be joining me with the lovely apprentice giving me the options for wool. Now, I will say this. This is a gamble. We may go through a number of villagers here, and if you're wondering why that is, it's based, and this is going to sound ridiculous, but the reason why it's going to be a bit of a gamble is because of the fact that of the trades that are possible, right, there is the dyes that the shepherds will have, and then they'll be like, we'll accept dyes for emeralds, and I'm like, that's a terrible trade, so no thank you. But it's also conceivably possible that they give us the wool, and they can also, I think, give us carpets. So yeah, we got a couple of bullets to dodge here. Thankfully it's only the apprentice level. It would have been nice if it was at the novice level. I thought it was novice level, but shows you what I know. But yeah, actually, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and spend the money for this because I am gonna need some more beds here soon. 3? Oh, you blessed sheep. Oh, you are such a good sheep. All right. Let's go ahead and make ourselves a betterino, if I can remember how I'm supposed to do these things. All right, and boom, whoop, boom, boom, boom. Very cool. Sleep away the night. Awesome. And then I'm going to go ahead and get to work on getting myself this, hopefully, a villager with a shear trade. And then after the shear trade, we're going to hopefully be unlocking an apprentice level. So here we go. Try number 1. We gave him all the things he needs to become a ever so handsome apprentice. Give me wool, give me wool, give me wool. Oh, Poggerinos. Not only did he give me wool, he gave me 2 kinds of wool and a very similar color set, which is actually pretty cool. Brimmy would be thrilled. For those of you who don't know, Brimmy's one of our mods who absolutely adores the color pink. And so I think she'd be quite pleased. Oh, hey there. You guys are settling in nicely. Very nice. All right, so perfect. So now we have all this pink wool basically at our disposal. I could even weave in some magentas in here, but let's keep them relatively consistent in the way that we're working them. So cool, we can make ourselves some beds, and I'm going to do exactly that. We're going to go ahead and just make all the beds that we can, and I'm going to start slotting these in. Now, a couple of things of, I guess, note, or at least what I think are things of note. Number 1, yeah, I'm just starting to realize that this is here. I'm going to have to release all the. We're going to have to release all these guys because this is going to get really complicated really quickly if they are just running around in here. Because I'm never going to be able to sort this out if they keep on staying there. All right, so there are some villagers that are, in my opinion, and this is not like a definitive thing. This is certainly partially an opinion. But in my humble opinion, I think that there are some villagers that are very important to keep an eye out for others. Some of them I designate as very much more so for emerald generation. There are some, however, that are what I would call neutral, in that they are very... I didn't know you could trade directly for beds too. Huh, cool. The more you know. But I'm going to stay with pink because pink is a nice color. But yeah, there are some that are definitely meant and geared, in my opinion, more towards getting emeralds because they don't really work too terribly well. Like there's nothing that I'm sitting there going, wow, I'd love to make this trade where I give you my raw fish and then you cook it for me for the cost of emeralds. Like, I don't see how that's a very good trade, but I mean, I'm sure someone out there is like, dude, this saved my life one time. One time, I went adventuring and I almost didn't make it back home. Times were tough, man. Times were tough. Like, I'm sure there are going to be some of those people out there, but I think by and far you're going to find that most people are not of that particular thought. Oh, and look at that. They, like, perfectly slotted in. Oh, that was so nice. Except for this guy. I don't know. This guy's a cartographer. I don't know what he's doing. All right, cleric boy's in there. Wow, that actually worked out fairly well. And I forgot to put a slab. You try so hard sometimes, only to find that you done goobered it up. He's gonna stay in there too, probably. Darn it! It's okay. All right, so in terms of the good ones, again, my personal feeling is that if you want to go for like optimal, you probably do want Butcher, because that's going to make the most use of your time each time you're trading with one type of villager, because you don't have to leave your inventory too much, as long as you have the ability to quickly cycle through your items, which is a pretty big deal. The other ones that I would consider to be pretty good, if again, there is it is a great trade, and I think it's an absolutely phenomenal idea in the early game to go for your basic librarian bookshelf book thing. There's also one that I'm not certain about the math. I think it does end up being the case that it is better. But there is also, it occurred to me that you can trade glass panes for emeralds. This is kind of a goofy one because I actually didn't even know it existed. So cartographers, I guess, can trade for glass panes. It's at the apprentice level, which I never knew was a thing. But in theory, that means that you would have pretty good luck, honestly, converting emeralds for that. And of course, you don't have to like build in the air and take all that time. It's like just crafting it, and then you're kind of good to go. So a pretty decent deal by all measures, I suppose. But oh yeah, we got a little baby villager in here who's having the time of his life. Are you going to be willing to escape, little baby? No? You're just going to be there? Okay, fine. We'll wait for you to grow up. But yeah, so there are a couple of ones I want to highlight, though, of these different emerald generation trades. Besides those, though, as well, the farmer is still, of course, a very honorable mention. For those of you who are not familiar with it, the farmers, of course, were the guys who really hooked us up in the earlier parts of how to Minecraft, because we would just take like carrots and patatas and stuff, and that would kind of be the end of that. So that was always a pretty good time, generally speaking. Oh, and I just realized that these guys are all trying to pathfind stupidly into here, which I don't want them to do. All right, so let me go ahead and seal these all off. It looks like they're really keen on getting that one spot. Man, I didn't know that they would like just be magnetized to those things. That's ridiculous. But another pretty decent one is the Fletcher. Fletcher, because sticks are always, they're not really hard to get. I don't think anyone sits there and goes, man, oh man, if only I could find some sticks. I'm pretty sure most people generally agree it's like, yeah, sticks is a pretty easy trade. I mean, they're not really doing rocket surgery here. You're just getting some sticks. You'll figure it out. Other than that, though, there aren't really any that really stand out to me as great. With an iron farm, any of the blacksmithy ones, that's going to be your armorers, that's going to be your toolsmiths, and that's going to be your weaponsmiths, I think they're called. I think they are called weaponsmiths. But those guys, of course, will be quite useful with that regard. You are also going to be probably talking about maybe... if you want to do some wool trades, if you do have a good sheep farm, for example, that could be potentially an idea if you already have an abundance of sheep. But yeah, I think that pretty much wraps it up. I mean, I still think at the end of the day, you really ought to be going for, if you're really in the early game, go for a librarian. It's the easiest. It's the most straightforward. You'll be fine with it. Barring that, if you're like kind of wanting to do something off the beaten path a little bit, I would say give the glass pane one a try. I think honestly that's going to be a pretty easy one. The cartographer's guaranteed to roll glass panes every time, and it's a decent trade. You can do fairly well for yourself. I don't know if it's going to be like without making them cheaper with curing. I don't know if it's a good deal, but I mean, on paper, to me, it makes sense that would work. For the important trades, of course, we're going to be talking about all the diamond tools. So all your blacksmithies will be really important. You're going to be looking at librarians, and that's why we always have a lot more librarian accommodation. How are you all escaping? What is this? How are you doing this? What witchcraft are you performing that allows you just nope on out? How are you guys escaping? What? Please tell me your secrets. I'm really curious to know how these people are all escaping. I don't see how they're escaping. But yeah, there's the librarians, the armor guys. I think it actually is worth your time to also get yourself, like the shepherd, obviously, so you can get your beds rocking and rolling pretty consistently. But aside from those, the only other ones that stand out to me is just kind of like whatever else you need, really. I know that sounds like a really cop-out answer, but like, just think about whatever you could want at that particular time. Because obviously, depending upon where you are in your game and the kind of playstyle you have, it's going to wildly change what you're doing. So, for example, like, I don't really know very many people that would want or need the leather worker. But if you want saddles, then you're going to love the leather worker. At the same time, I don't know, like, for example, if you want to have a lot of like exploration fun and stuff like that, you can always do some stuff with the cartographers, and that can also be pretty cool. Also, don't let me forget, if you're watching this, please don't forget, like, if I don't do this within like 10 episodes or so, remind me that I need to try a cat farm. I know that sounds really weird, but just I'll revisit that later. But cats do weird things, like they gift you things at night. So I really want to know more. I want to know more about what this entails, because I read that and I was like, man, I don't know where I'm gonna get string from and blah blah blah. And I was kind of looking through and I was like, man, yeah, that would work. I'm sorry, by the way, that this is just like kind of like me talking a whole lot about a lot of different things, but it's really. This kind of stuff, I'm like really quite thrilled, because this is going to be a huge turning point for us in terms of how the game will progress and how things will kind of feel as we move along now, because this is going to open up a lot of options for us. Obviously, we're already full clad in diamond. We have diamond tools and stuff. But when the librarians come online, it's going to take a lot of selection and whatever. But when the librarians come online, we're also looking at a pretty decent... Oh, wow. This guy also rolled an amazing... He's actually the farmer I wanted. But yeah, we're going to be talking about some pretty amazing gear, right? We're going to be going almost from your like standard diamond gear into like real, like, yeah, now you're doing actual diamond gear, which would be pretty wild indeed. All right, let me see here. So we don't have the butcher here. Carrots and potatoes, that's what my recommendation would be for this trade. Just because carrots and potatoes are pretty consistent for trading. For Fletchers, we're looking for sticks and arrows. I'm not going to stress the fact that this guy doesn't have sticks. I think that's okay. And in some ways, this might actually be preferable for us. But he's going to swap through trades. Again, I'm not super worried. I just want to make sure that whenever I do trade with him, he'll eventually have arrows. So I'm going to leave him be for now. But that will be something that we want to keep an eye out for. The only other guy that I want to keep an eye out for is this guy right here, the butcher. We're going to be wanting him to have raw chicken, and we're going to want him to also have raw pork. The way that the butcher works is a little bit goofy, because the butcher is all like spread apart and kind of all over the place. But basically at this particular... Go back in. At this particular tier, what he can do is he can get raw chicken, raw pork chop, raw rabbit, or trade you for rabbit stew. Now, the rabbit stew deal is actually not that bad of a deal. I would actually consider taking that under normal circumstances, but I'm going to go ahead and push forward and have him go for raw pork chop and raw chicken, because that would be, I think, a decent emerald generation trade. And so that right there is perfect. Not that I have either. I just realized I just rolled for him and I have absolutely no way to guarantee that I'm going to get what I want. Not my smartest moment. That's okay. All right, let's see here. So I'm going to, actually, truth be told, I don't really need to wait until they go into a specific pen because they'll just kind of work with what they got. So it's okay if they kind of go into whatever pen because they can't pathfind and they'll switch their POI to whatever they can get to. But, okay, it looks like everyone's more or less settled in. We got a couple of bobbies that are bobbying around. So I tell you what, I wasn't originally planning on doing this either. Well, actually, that would do all the way around. Nah, never mind. I was going to say I was going to put like a slab here, but then I realized, well, the babies can just jump up from the side here. I guess I could just seal off the sides on one, but yeah, I don't really want to deal with it. So we'll just leave it alone. These iron golems in here, there's not really much to say or be done about them, to be completely honest with you. They're going to wander around. They're going to patrol. I'm not going to interfere with their goings-ons because that's not really something that I am equipped to do, nor do I particularly want to annoy them. I'm not a coward. You're a coward. Oh, and clerics. Clerics are also kind of an interesting case here, right? So clerics are going to guarantee give you every single thing that you go through until you hit expert, which is the 4th level up. So right now he's a novice. He's going to go through apprentice, journeyman, and then expert and master. Expert's the one where we're going to matter about this. The farmer, if I can get him to be at apprentice level pumpkins and apples, that'd be great. The really big one is I would love for him to trade for apples, but again, not the biggest deal in the world if we don't get that. The other ones I'll also point out here are Fletchers can roll crossbows eventually. That'll be a pretty nice one to have in our little grouping of things that we can possibly get. We also would, in theory, like to get a toolsmith. And the toolsmith, we want a diamond hoe at journeyman and an expert a diamond shovel. I do think that they can actually roll some other things here. Let me just confirm that real quick for you guys. But that will be another thing to keep an eye out for. Yeah, because he has 3 potential trades at at expert. He has 3 potential trades, and at journeyman he actually has 5 potential trades. So we would want the diamond hoe and the diamond, shovel, because those are the ones that are exclusive to him and are of the highest quality. Because we're not going to really worry about experience and stuff like that, because we'll get plenty. But other than that, those are the only ones that I find of particular import. Now, you may find ones that you think are more important for your particular playstyle, but for our cases, those are the ones that really matter. So, for those of you who are just like, man, Choco, you just unleashed word insanity and brutality. Explain, just list off the ones I should care about in your opinion. I think the butcher at novice level, Oh, it's a baby. I thought it was a full-size villager. That was really confusing. But the butcher is going to want raw chicken and pork chop, I think, at the novice level. You're going to want your farmers to rock carrot and potato, again, in my opinion. And then pumpkin, because pumpkins you can farm as well. And apples, because apples are always useful for golden apples, and having a sustainable source is always good. Or an on-demand source, actually, I guess would be a better way to put it. Your clerics, you're going to want a glass bottle and ender pearl at the expert level. The scoot will be the only one that gets in your way there. The Fletcher, you're going to want yourself the crossbow trade, because that is a unique trade for the Fletcher, obviously. And also, if you can, stick and arrows probably is a smart one here in terms of his initial trades for a novice level. And then the toolsmith is going to have your diamond hoe and diamond shovel. So again, the butcher, the cleric, the farmer, the Fletcher, and the toolsmith. Those are the ones that have really unique ones that you can miss. And it'd be highly preferable not to miss. So just kind of, again, it's my 2 cents kind of thing, and I don't expect everyone to necessarily share my opinions and all that, but in my opinion, it's pretty significant, the advantage that it bestows upon you. But anyways, let me go ahead, and I'm going to go to just grinding these guys for a while and seeding all of them, make sure that they roll with stuff I want, and blah, blah, blah. I also have no... Well, actually, I do have some food. It's not a lot of food. I gotta eat apples, actually. So I'm going to go ahead and roll the librarians, for example, wait for some more villagers to populate in here. And then after I get that all squared away, then we'll be back, and I'll showcase kind of what we have for trades. And should be pretty good, I'd imagine. It should be a pretty wholesome thing. So, anyways, hacha! As we wait for our villagers to populate, because we're just waiting on some more babies to be born, we got some iron golem buddies here, and there's quite a few of them, honestly. So I actually, embarrassingly, almost did die off camera, which would have been incredibly awkward, because I may have accidentally punched a golem without really meaning to. May or may not have happened. But yeah, that was kind of scary. Not gonna lie, was pretty like, oh no, this is how it ends. But made this little pit here. The pit really is just here, so every now and then I can funnel some golems in there, because it was kind of getting ridiculous. Like, we have these, like, there was originally one golem. I was like, yeah, one golem shuffling around. Like, who cares? One golem shuffling around, not the end of the world. Three golems kind of gets in the way. Like, the collision actually starts to become a problem. But I'm going to go ahead and just, like, hopefully see if I can kind of sheepdog this iron golem into the pit. They've been actually fairly cooperative in this one. Well, as soon as I'm recording, they're not. But these guys have been going pretty easy on me. They haven't been doing anything too weird. And as far as I'm aware, I didn't notice any villagers who got mad at me for accidentally hitting a golem, which is great, because I wasn't sure if it was like, is one hit enough? I don't remember. But it seems to be the case that we're all good to go. So that's always a good thing. But yeah, we're slowly getting there. We got some more librarians, as you can see. And I'll showcase them in a little bit, but, ooh, I hear a wandering trader. Let's see what he has before we kind of go back to doing our thing. Because I would be quite keen on that, depending upon what he has. Blue ice, sure. And also, if you're wondering why I have so many emeralds, so I can make sure I can lock down trades that I particularly like that they're offering. And good thing too, because apparently this guy was offering the absolute world. Good lord. Okay. Yeah, that was. Thank you for that, random trader dude. That was pretty good trades. Anyways, I'm gonna keep on crack-a-lacking with this, and I'll see you whenever it's ready. Okay, it's time. So. I'm pretty excited for this, actually. I'm like super stoked. I just finished it. It was a long grind. Oh my word. I can't even begin to tell you. But a little bit of a heads up. I will not be having every single enchantment ready to rock and roll here, obviously, for what I'm assuming are obvious reasons of, like, I don't want to rip my hair out. But also, there's not going to be, like, all the different types. I think I mentioned this before, but basically, like, yes, just as an acknowledgement, yes, the Fletcher can sell different kinds of different tipped arrows. So, like, arrows with effects. You can also get yourself into a little bit of fanciness with, like, different kinds of terracotta, different kinds of wool and stuff like that. We're not going to worry about that just yet, because rolling for those is going to be a phenomenally awful process. is the real answer. But we're going to go ahead and tackle that, I think, later on, after we're a little bit more established. And I don't really see the point of doing it right now. But anyways, enough teasing. Let's go ahead and let me show you what we got here. Boom. There you go. You might wonder, okay, so Choco, you went through all the trouble of making it like all this, and I thought this was a gap. What happened here? This is basically my like extras in case any of these villagers are like absolute like oof level villagers. We also recruited an extra one here that I don't technically need, but I figured, what the heck, I already found one anyway. So I decided to keep an extra librarian here. I don't technically need them here, but I decided instead of having to roll for it again, I'm just going to go ahead and hold on to them. But anyways, let's go ahead and showcase what we have. All these guys, I'm just going to leave as is. They're all at novice level. I think technically the farmer has like a couple trades on him, but everyone here is basically a novice. With the exception, of course, of the shepherd, because we've been messing with the shepherd a whole lot. But yeah, this has been pretty straightforward. The reason why I haven't done anything with the blacksmiths is because I didn't see the point of doing anything with the blacksmiths at the moment, because of the fact that it's going to take a little bit here. And I can currently get all the stuff I need, if I'm not mistaken, from my existing smiths. So I'm not going to stress about that a whole lot just yet. I eventually will do that just for completion's sake. But, you know, I've already rolled for them once. I don't see the need to roll them again. But yeah, something I do want to acknowledge, like, yeah, that is a thing. Just as a heads up, I didn't forget. It's just I'm not going to do them all today because I've been going at this for hours, and it was a grind. Let me tell you, it was a grind. But you know, perseverance, right? If you put in the work, if you put in the elbow grease, things pan out pretty well. Also, sorry for all the villager hers. And also our 2 happy little golems down the bottom there, having a grand old time. But anyway, so those guys are all there, but that's the boring stuff, right? Let's talk about the interesting stuff. I'm going to actually start with this guy first and just acknowledge that I have Depth Strider 3 on this librarian. And I also actually have a Respiration 3 on here. Now you might be like, what the heck? These are 2 that I don't consider to be critical to everything. Like Respiration, for example, you could theoretically get away with doing a conduit for as an example of like what you could do to get Respiration's real benefit for. But Respiration, you're not going to bring like a conduit everywhere you go, right? Like you're not going to be running around with like 800 conduits. You're going to be running around with your helmet. So that's probably all you're going to do, and that's why I decided to settle for. As for the Depth Strider 3, I don't view it as mission critical. I'm thinking that I might even go as far as to say that it may be something I want to leave off, because by the time I think I will care about this, I will probably be at the point where I would also hopefully have a trident, and then with said trident just like yeet myself around. And as far as I'm aware, Depth Strider 3 conflicts with Riptide, so something for future Choco, but not for current Choco. As for all these guys, and I am so incredibly stoked to show you guys this, these all are organized. Can you imagine? It's not perfect organization, but they are organized here. So these are going to be our swords enchantments. So there's a sharpness 5. And by the way, I kicked myself so hard. It's not going to really matter, I don't think. But technically, I did find a 27, I think, sharpness 5. Oh, it was so hard. But I was just like, I got to keep rolling. I was rolling for like fortune 3, and it was awful. But anyway, sharpness 5 here, sweeping edge 3. Those are the big 2. You might be asking, well, what about fire aspect? Again, I think I've explained this in the past, but basically I don't trust it whenever I light mobs on fire, because it tends to be that they light me on fire and then I end up dying. And in hardcore, I don't want to tempt fate at all. I do not need another damage over time to ever be affecting me, ever. We also have looting 3 on here, so that's going to be the trifecta of enchantments that are specifically for swords. In addition to that, we also have ourselves mending, as well as unbreaking 3, to make sure that all of our durability is all in good shape. Now, these 2 are obviously kind of partners in crime. They go on literally every single piece of gear ever that we're going to probably make. I will be going for mending as opposed to infinity, so I do not have an infinity villager. For those of you who are wondering, like, are you going to go with infinity or mending for bows? Because you can't have both, right? So I went with the mending route. Over here, we're going to have ourselves our tool stuff. So efficiency 5, silk touch, and fortune 3, which takes care of like all of our general tools. You know, things like axes only really benefit from having efficiency 5 from a tool specific enchant. I don't think it's necessary to have anything else as far as I'm aware. I guess I could put like sharpness 5 on the axe, but I didn't really figure that was really important. But this means that I should be tool ready now. These guys are all armor stuff, so I put Aqua Affinity. I thought this was important. I know not everyone's going to agree with that, but it's super annoying whenever it's like you're mining and you have like that little bit of water and it just ruins you. So I figured that Aqua Affinity was actually the highest priority of the water enchantments, but I can understand if you're like disagree. I also have, oh, that was weird. I also have Feather Falling 4 in here, because obviously Feather Falling 4 is one of the weird ones which it actually stacks with Protection 4, which is super duper important. We actually got a pretty good price on that. Not perfect, but pretty good. And then we also have ourselves the Bow Enchantment, a Power 5, and in this case, Flame 1. And to be clear, the reason why I rolled Flame on this and kept it was, number 1, he's like one of the earlier villagers we got, but number 2, the Flame Bow makes sense to me because it's at a distance. I'm not theoretically running up and like kissing something on the face. That's, you know, I'm not going to be doing anything with a flame bow and then having them come give me a big old hug. I'm going to be hopefully a good distance away when I shoot them with the bow. But other than that, that's pretty much it. I'm not going to enchant today. That's going to be something for, I think, next episode. So we're on track for a sub episode 10 perfect armor. Like it's not gonna be completely perfect maybe by some people's standards, but for me that's the perfect core armor. Other things that we could in theory like have on there, we could get Frostwalkers, but Frostwalkers honestly causes more trouble than not. You are also gonna have potentially like, well, what about Smite and Bane of Arthropods, which I kind of have like a very big meh feeling towards. I've never really cared. The different kinds of protection, so blast, fire, and projectile, I don't really see the point of, so I'm going to omit that as well. And yeah, I think that's about it. I know. Oh, and actually, there's a pretty big missing one. Thorns 3. You might be like, well, Choco, you're like, of all the people that we've ever like in terms of SMPs and stuff, everyone's like, Thorns ruins your armor, man. Don't do it. I actually omitted Thorns for that exact reason, and because it was in hardcore mode. And okay, here's my reasoning. I did not want to do. I didn't want to do Thorns on hardcore because of the fact that I want to have as predictive of behavior as I can when I hit something. And in addition to that, I do not want any reason for my armor to snap. If my armor snaps, that's whenever I have a very high chance of dying, because I'll lose some kind of protection enchantment, and that would be pretty rough. Outside of that, though, I'm kind of whatever. I'm pretty flexible, and I'm not too stressed about it. But that's why I'm currently not rocking it. If you're just like, I wonder why that is, it's because of that. I'm not going to be running Thorns on that. I do not want to have anything goofy happen. I'm trying to remove all the like elements of randomness or surprising things or things that could botch me up. So that's the life I've been living at the moment. I will continue to populate this pen with more villagers because of the fact that I eventually I don't know if this is very likely, but the likelier things first and then to the least likely. So it's likely at some point I'll want to visit the ideas of like maybe tridents, like Riptide, things of that nature, and I guess Impaling 5, because why not at that point? Then we'll go into the other enchantments and stuff like that if we want to, just for completionist's sake. We also have a chance here to get all the different kinds of wool. I know we could make giant sheep farms, but because I am on single player and I have absolutely zero idea how this is going to work lag-wise, I'm going to try to just do it with villagers. So instead of having like 50 sheep, I'd rather just have one villager that I'm just like, hey, I need like buttloads of blah, and then just get buttloads of whatever colored wool. And same thing may apply for glazed terracotta. That's what I'm thinking right now. Future Choco may be like, you try rolling for this, then nerd, and then like piecing out. But as of right now, I am leaning towards saying that let's try for some very basic things of like getting in the like end game, getting like maybe it's like different colored wool and terracotta. I don't think it's gonna be that bad, but we'll see. Again, current Choco has very crazy ideas. Future Choco is the one that makes the decision. But other than that, yeah, not too terribly much else with the villagers for this particular thing. I'm also gonna need some of these bad boys for the iron farm, but that's a very like future Choco kind of problem at the moment. I can't even fathom what that's like. I think that I may not do an iron farm, and this is going to sound pretty wild, I think, to some of you, but we're going to actually get through the core content of the game, I think, next, after we get through some of this stuff. I may make an exception for the gold farm. I might, but I was thinking about it. I was like, well, I'm going to be enchantment ready anyways. It's not going to get any better prepared for it outside of like maybe some extra gapples and stuff, but like I think I need my elytra. Like the elytra adds so much more like security and feeling like I'm not going to just LOL wreck myself in before I splat. But right now I'm thinking that maybe that's the right way to go. So I'm kind of on the fence about the whole thing. I will make an executive decision about that in a while. But yeah, that's the current game plan. So hopefully this helped you all. This has kind of been like your crash course if you are new to villagers in 1.14.4, and however long villagers will have these kinds of mechanics for. But if you would like to have anything clarified, I'm sure the comment section would be happy to help out. From my side, I think I highlighted just about everything that I think is pretty important here. We did the villager breeder last episode. I highlighted the trades that I think are important, including the enchantments, and that's probably the big ticket item right there. We showed all the work blocks. I showed you my setup for all that stuff. And by the way, it's working great. They literally don't move almost at all. It's actually better than what we had before in the depot, because the depot, like, they would go too far back and they do all the other nonsense. But this one keeps them pretty nice and snug. So we've been having a pretty good time with it. And yeah, I mean, I think villager and trades wise, this is pretty much what you would ideally want. And really, we could have started this pretty, like, I mean, we're doing it quite early into the series, I guess, but you could start this pretty early on in your playthrough. You don't need to have all of them, especially, but like the idea of teching straight to diamond from villagers is, I think, very much a good idea, because you get the best quality gear. And especially if you're not playing hardcore, I mean, you might as well, right? Like, there's no reason not to. But anyways, hopefully this will help you all get overpowered in your own worlds. And also, hopefully you're all excited to see kind of like us moving on from this kind of thing, because we basically just bypassed all of enchanting. Oh, and fishing rods. That's another thing that we can also mess with, because I can AFK fish now, granted. Oh, well, yeah, I can AFK fish now because we don't really have a risk of pulling TNT because no MCMO. So yeah, maybe we'll go fishing. I don't really know if I'm looking for anything from fishing, but yeah, maybe something we can do at some later point. But anyways, that's gonna wrap it up for me here. I hope this hasn't been too rambly of a video. It's just I'm pretty pleased with where we are right now with this whole series, because I'm pretty pleased with the tech speed, and so I'm pretty happy. I'm happy as a clam when it comes to like the Minecraft stuff. I'm quite content. But yeah, let me know how you all feel. If you enjoyed, consider the like rating down below. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Notification bell if you'd like to be notified. Comment section again. Please do let me know about the edits, making sure that I'm not like if I need to cut more out of it. I did see some people saying things like an hour is still too long. Please make sure that like sub 30-minute kind of thing is the impression I got. But let me know. Let me know if this is like kind of up your alley, or if like I need to be less aggressive or whatever the case may be. But I'd like the feedback. I'd appreciate it. And of course, I'd always like to know your thoughts and kind of how you feel about everything here. If you have any questions, feel free to. Yesterday we did the villager breeder, I guess. But today, went ahead, knocked out getting all of our trades set up. Tomorrow we'll probably be getting the like good armor, like all core armor, ready to rock and roll. This is going to make me significantly more durable instead of me running with this gear right now. And so I think that's going to be a pretty actually big deal here, because with that gear, I'm very unlikely to die, I think. Maybe that's optimistic Choco talking, but I'd like to imagine that will protect me from most things. But yeah, with hopefully the armor, we'll be ready to rock and roll, and then we'll see if we're going to do core progression. If we don't do core progression, and by core progression I mean like, getting my Eyes of Ender going and going into the end, fighting the Ender Dragon, and Lord knows what else. And also, I will remember not to shoot the end crystals point blank. Thank you for the people who warned me about that last time. But yeah, if we don't do that kind of stuff, then I would imagine that the gold farm would come next, logically. So I can unlock as many villagers, and like I can cure as many villagers as I can. Because that will, of course, drive down a lot of prices. And with the dropping down of prices, I would be able to more flexibly apply myself into like, hey, I want to be able to do all these wacky and zany trades. And I can start using those things for other kinds of processes. I do not think I'm going to work on a base just yet, like a base. So don't expect that though, because I know some people are probably like, oh, what about a house? I'm like, well, I don't really don't care to make a house right now, because in truth, if I'm going to die, it's the most likely point is going to be during this time of either core progression or during, well, I guess we're always building farms after this point. So yeah, core progression I think is the highest risk one, because it's actual combat and stuff like that, and that can get kind of spooky town. So anyways, thank you all very much for watching, and as always, and most importantly, take care of yourselves. Have a wonderful and safe day, and until next time, ciao for now.